This is a significant moment in American car history. The car in the video is a 1997 Chevrolet Malibu model, and what's about to unfold will change how everyone sees American cars. This is the Malibu crash test story, a crash test that changed how Ford and General Motors view safety. During the mid-1990s, the automotive safety world was dominated by full frontal rigid barrier testing. To certify a vehicle as compliant, regulators propelled it straight into a flat concrete wall at 35 miles per hour. Because the car struck the flat surface head-on, the crash forces distributed evenly across the entire front structure. This symmetry made the test highly predictable. When a vehicle hits a wall flat on, both longitudinal frame rails, the engine block, and the front bumper engage simultaneously to absorb the kinetic energy. Because the impact was perfectly balanced, it allowed manufacturers to design structures that manage the massive deceleration forces in an orderly, expected way. But this predictable setup created a major structural blind spot. A flat wall impact distributes energy so evenly that it can easily mask localized weaknesses that only show up when a crash is not symmetrical. A vehicle could possess serious design vulnerabilities, yet those weaknesses remained hidden as long as the forces were shared equally across the front end. For automakers, this predictability became an engineering blueprint. Knowing exactly how the forces would strike allowed design teams to tailor structures specifically for the government's predictable scenario. Stiff front crossmembers became the industry's preferred solution. By running a rigid steel member across the very front of the car, engineers could tie the two main frame rails together. In a perpendicular wall test, this crossmember distributed the impact perfectly, preventing the cabin from collapsing. This approach was remarkably cost-effective. Reinforcing only the front crossmember allowed manufacturers to pass federal requirements without using expensive high-strength steel throughout the rest of the frame. It was a business decision that aligned with the regulatory environment. Design a car to pass the flat wall test, keep production costs low, and market the resulting rating. In 1995, the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety introduced an evaluation that broke the industry's comfort zone. Instead of sending a vehicle straight into a flat concrete wall, this new test targeted only 40% of the driver's side front bumper. The rest of the car sailed past the obstacle, meaning the force of the collision was completely concentrated on one vulnerable corner of the chassis. To make the test mimic a real-world collision even more closely, researchers mounted a deformable aluminum honeycomb face to the barrier. This honeycomb barrier behaved entirely differently than a rigid concrete wall. It crushed upon impact, absorbing a fraction of the energy and lengthening the deceleration pulse. This meant the vehicle's front structure could not rely on a simple, rigid crossmember to spread the force to the opposite side of the frame. Without the luxury of symmetrical load sharing, the entire impact energy bypassed the passenger side structures and funneled directly into the driver's side wheel, well, subframe, and A-pillar. If a car's safety cell collapsed under the concentrated force of an asymmetrical impact, those restraint systems would fail to protect the occupants inside. The offset test demanded a fundamental survival space, something car companies back then had not given much thought on previously. But then, in 1997, the story began to slowly unfold. You see, General Motors launched the redesigned Chevrolet Malibu, a vehicle built specifically to reclaim the heart of the American driveway. For years, import rivals like the Toyota Camry and Honda Accord had dominated the midsize family market. GM's response was a clean-sheet sedan built on a new corporate platform designed to restore competitiveness through modern engineering at an accessible price. Marketing campaigns pitched the Malibu as the smart, value-conscious choice for young families, emphasizing its contemporary styling and practical features. At the center of this pitch was a strong emphasis on family protection. The Malibu came equipped with standard dual airbags, a feature heavily advertised in the late 90s as a primary shield against road hazards. For consumers looking for objective verification, the federal government provided a clear stamp of approval. Under the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration's traditional full frontal test at 35 miles per hour, the Malibu earned a favorable 4-star occupant protection rating. To the average car buyer, those 4 stars were a simple, trusted signal of credibility. Families interpreted the official federal score as proof of real-world security, assuming the vehicle's structural frame was built to withstand severe impacts. This official score established a strong sense of confidence, aligning perfectly with Chevrolet's promise of safety. It was a reassuring message that transformed the Malibu into an instant commercial success. Yet, this widespread consumer trust rested entirely on the assumption that a high rating in a predictable government test guaranteed survival in the chaotic, asymmetrical collisions of the real world. And in 1999, the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety put that assumption to the test.
That's the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety's front crash of the Chevrolet Malibu. Overall, it earns an acceptable rating, but there are problems. Most significantly, the dummy's movement is not well controlled. After impact, the dummy should move directly back into the seat. Instead, it moves toward the driver's door. In the close shot, you can see that the head hits the door below the windowsill, then the B-pillar. Those hits are not hard, but there is a risk of injury to the right leg.
The load path gets broken. The heavy steel rail is not good enough to distribute the force of the impact. In a matter of milliseconds, the survival space inside the cabin begins to disappear. But here is something important to understand. The vehicle was awarded an acceptable rating overall. It performed relatively well in maintaining the driver's survival space, proving that its unibody frame could absorb a primary crash impact. But if you see the footage, the dummy's head gets struck both by the door and the B-pillar. Furthermore, the steering wheel showed excessive upward movement, presenting a major risk of severe facial and chest injuries to the driver. The problem wasn't that this car did not pass the test completely. The problem was that this car was awarded 4 federal stars. This was a car marketed to young families as modern and safe. And under 40 miles per hour of offset force, it failed at the most fundamental level of keeping a human body away from collapsing metal. Dateline NBC broadcast the high-speed crash footage directly into living rooms across the country. Watching a heavy steel wheel crush a family sedan's cabin in slow motion was entirely different from reading a government brochure. For the first time, millions of families saw the physical consequences of structural collapse. The visual evidence bypassed the abstract star ratings that had defined car marketing for a generation. A 4-star federal rating meant little when viewers could watch a steering column move upward and a dummy's head strike the solid door frame. This television exposure transformed vehicle safety from an engineering debate into an immediate consumer demand. Car shoppers walked into showrooms asking a new question. Not how many stars a vehicle earned on a government chart, but how it performed in the offset barrier test. Vehicles designed before the offset test era suddenly looked outdated. This public reaction placed immense financial pressure on automakers who found themselves selling platforms that the public now perceived as structurally deficient. Detroit and global manufacturers had to react quickly. Engineering departments abandoned older platform designs and began integrating structural solutions the federal test had never demanded. They replaced mild steel with high-strength alloys, redesigned front subframes, and built rigid passenger cells to prevent footwell intrusion. The design goal shifted from meeting a basic legal standard to maintaining the physical survival space of the cabin. The division between premium engineering and everyday transportation began to dissolve. What was once reserved for expensive vehicles, a passenger cabin capable of surviving an offset impact, rapidly transformed into a standard requirement for every vehicle class. Automakers could no longer justify leaving mass-market family sedans structurally vulnerable. high-strength steel safety cells, reinforced roof pillars, and side curtain airbags became standard features across the industry, replacing the older practice of offering real crash protection only as an upgrade. These modern features trace their development directly back to one Chevrolet Malibu, a car that did not do terribly, but just bad enough for people to realize that things had to change.